And welcome back into the Bettor Half Hour, my favorite segment where we bring you veterans in the game, sports betting professionals. You've seen her all over this show, all over the betting exchange. She's part of Yahoo Sports, dominating the game. Minty Bets, back in the building. How are you, Minty?
I'm doing well. How are you, Alex? How was your weekend?
Phenomenal. Outside of taking Washington plus 6.5 and losing on the PAT. Serenity now. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. On that note, Minty, that game, and then probably an even worse beat was the Browns minus 2.5 there and that backdoor Ravens cover. In either of those games, when you're watching them, is that something you want to hedge for people out there that like to live bet or even double down when Washington's down 3 scores?
Oh man, Alex, you had to bring up Washington football team. It was such an awful beat because I myself also had Washington, and I think Washington bettors were metaphorically ripping up our tickets by halftime after that blowout and just taping it back together with 5 minutes left on the clock. The Browns bad beat as well, but you know, you kind of did that to yourself when you bet on Cleveland. So I don't really feel bad for Browns bettors, but I personally don't hedge bets, so I don't recommend hedging. I just kind of take my losses like I take my wins, and I learn and move on.
Well said. All right, and looking at this past weekend, favorites dominate. Just 2 covers for underdogs here. You have any favorite bets you hit or just bad beats outside of those 2 you want to speak on for a sec?
My best bet was the Bucks minus 3.5, which was surprisingly a sweat. It should not have been a game anyone needed to stress if they were on Tampa Bay. But I, like most people, don't like to bet on favorites at that minus 3.5 because you get screwed over by the hook if your team wins by a field goal. But yeah, that was my best bet. But looking at Buffalo's past opponents, it's really proven that they played an easy schedule, and now they struggle against good competition. So I knew that was a game where they would struggle. So I wasn't really fearful of laying the 3.5 points there.
And I know you hit on Green Bay. Now, I love the live bet. I need to calm down the Twitter fingers over here. But if you have a team like Green Bay who's undefeated against the spread at home, they're against an inferior Bears team, they go down 10-0, you can grab them at minus 3 live or even minus 188 money line. Is that something you would consider for people out there thinking about that? Would you consider that value?
Well, like that example of Green Bay, I don't ever recommend betting double-digit favorites. So I'm sure there was a beautiful opportunity to grab the Packers as an extremely short favorite or maybe even an underdog at one point. But with in-game wagering, you have to be so quick. Like you said, the Twitter fingers, only do it when you find value other than, you know, the pregame odds. So that would have been the best time to do it is when you find a good team who's kind of trailing. That would be the best time to grab them is live betting at a short number.
And going off of yesterday, is there any team you're buying stock in, or is there a team that you're selling stock in based off what you saw?
I hate to say it, but Cincinnati might not be as good as I pictured them earlier. They were great earlier in the season. They just play such close games, and it's just like not good for my health to sweat bets with the Bengals anymore. Although I do have faith in my AFC North winners as the Bengals, I may not be riding them on a weekly basis anymore, but I have faith in that futures ticket. Another team I'm not quite as high on anymore are the Giants. Surprise, surprise. Giants fans probably knew that themselves already. And a team that I'm actually going to keep my eyes on will be Atlanta. They tend to win games they have no business winning, and I believe they have the ability to keep games a lot closer than we think.
Yeah, Atlanta continuing to win on the road. The lone outright dog W yesterday, too, against Carolina. Matty Ice improves to 18-10 against the Panthers. He loves it. All right. Do you think there's a couple divisional winners? There's still some value out there. Of course, you know, Cowboys are a huge juice. Bucks, you know, there's some teams that are going to run away with their division. Is there a value play out there for you on a divisional winner that you like, or something much juice you would recommend at this point?
So I think the Patriots could be the real deal. However, I'm not letting go completely of the Bills yet. They're plus 250 to win the AFC East. And although I'm not super high on the Bills anymore, I don't think they're a complete bust. And plus 250 holds just such great value when I think they were like minus 125 preseason.
And let's talk a little MVP here. I've been on Tom Brady since Nam. He keeps getting worse odds, going closer to even money. Is he a shoo-in? I mean, he's about to break his own record of the oldest MVP in any sport. What do you say about Tom Brady as an MVP here?
I mean, I don't deny Tom Brady could be MVP again, but I like Kyler Murray to win it as long as he stays healthy and keeps his numbers consistent. He's at plus 750 to win, which holds the third best odds, I think right behind Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. So I kind of like Kyler to maybe sneak this one in.
And looking at teams that are under 500, Minty, of course we have this extra game now, so it's 17 weeks. So teams that are 6 and 7, you know, still somewhat in it. Vikings, you know, Seahawks, couple game winning streak here. Niners now above 500. Do you think any of these teams, though, under 500 have a chance to make a playoff push?
I mean, it's not impossible, right? But now looking at all these teams below 500 and knowing what they're capable of, I honestly don't see any I really like to make the playoffs. Like you said, the Seahawks, the Vikings, these teams also include the Raiders, Saints, Dolphins, Eagles. They all just have such stout competition, and the odds are kind of stacked against them.
And in terms of futures, I know I mentioned divisional winners. Do you see any that you like or you want to fire on? Could be offensive, defensive player of the year, or even teams to make the playoffs based off yesterday's games?
No players, and nothing actually really based off of yesterday's games. There's no team that jumped out at me that I didn't already put my money on. I love the Bucks from the very beginning of the season to win the NFC. A few weeks ago, I did mention I love the Cardinals, but realistically could see the Packers at 3-1 to win the conference. As for the AFC, I mentioned earlier, the last several weeks, the Patriots have really climbed on the board to win the conference at plus 330. They're right behind KC, so that's pretty surprising. I might hop on New England here.
Okay, all right. NFC, you think it's Packers 3-1 real quick? Would you go Bucks and on a hedge here? I think it's going to be Tampa versus Green Bay on a rematch. I really do.
Ooh, I would love that, Tampa versus Green Bay. I want to see the Cardinals win it all, but I think I'll have to, for value's sake, I would probably go with the Packers 3-1 over the Bucks.
Okay, well, let me get you out of here with this real quick. Rams getting a couple points in Arizona. As you know, Arizona worse at home as a cover than they are on the road, which is wild. And they actually snapped an 8-game losing streak to the Rams as well. Tough to beat a divisional opponent twice. Are you rocking with the Rams and the points?
That's right. Tough to beat a division opponent twice. I do like the Rams plus the points in this spot. Cardinals are great. LA's looking funky, and it's all about public perception, and that's how it affects the bets here. So I'm expecting LA's defense to give Kyler a pretty hard time in order to keep this game close and possibly win straight up.
I love it. Minty Bets, as always, bringing the knowledge. Make sure you check her out on all things Yahoo Sports. When I return, there's more games to break down. There's a Steph Curry prop. We're just getting started here on the Bettor Half Hour.